Hey, it's Friday, which means it's time to deploy. I'm joined again by Matt. We're going to be talking about a bunch of things here. We're going to be talking about continuous delivery via TPF. We'll talk about it in a second. We've got a new video from Matt featuring auditing. We've got the Octopus 101. We've got a bunch of events and webinars coming up. But first, Matt, how was your week?
Fantastic week. Thanks, John. Yeah, I've a few things I'm working on are starting to come to fruition, which is nice. So, you can sit here chipping away at things for weeks sometimes in the planning phase, which is fun.
Chipping away.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, but nothing to talk about just yet. But I think in a couple of Fridays' time, we might have a few things to announce on just some new things that we're bringing to life, which is cool. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. If anything you can briefly mention, maybe a teaser or so.
There is, yeah, possibly. We've got, we're speaking about a white paper shortly, but we will be working on a new white paper coming to market soon. If you're in the
Nice.
Argo CD space, that will be of
Ooh.
interest to you.
Awesome.
Or if you're looking to get into Argo CD and GitOps in that world, that one will definitely be of interest as we bring that to market. So, yeah.
All right.
How about your week? How was your week, John?
Oh, busy. As you know, we launched a new episode of Life at Octopus with Paul. We've got another one with Harsh I just produced, and then I just recorded one today with Joanna, who's our CEMO, our Chief Marketing Officer. I've got a bunch of people lined up for this. So yeah, crazy stuff. And then we're doing a bunch of stuff around AI, creating a landing page. I've got a video for that I've done. Docs, changes, this.
I feel like I haven't seen you since last Friday, and that's probably why. Yeah.
I know. And I went dark there for a bit, and now I'm off to Canada on Sunday. So I'm taking 2 weeks off. And we've got to announce Ship 25. So we're going to be running that again this year. So lots of stuff coming up. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the news. We'll talk a little bit about this. We've got a new blog post here from Orion entitled Changes to the Octopus C# library. Client library, open source repository. So Orion's a member of the team here, talking a little bit about some of the changes we have. So the summary here is that basically we're moving the C# client library to our private mono repo alongside the server code. And we're doing that for a variety of reasons. And for those who don't know, the C# client library is this thing that we've had forever and ever. It's a way of interacting with the API, and it's utilized by the old CLI and used for all those things. As a way of changing this, so we're moving to our mono repo here. We're going to mark the public repo as read-only. So you won't be able to open any PRs or contribute directly. There are a lot of reasons why we're doing this. It's mostly about speed of development, and we're trying to reduce some frustration along the way, improve the quality and timeliness of updates for users. So by moving everything into the one repo to rule them all, so to speak, it allows us to move a little bit faster. This is all articulated in Orion's blog post. Why are we making these changes, etc. It takes the time to do these things. And we saw this ourselves when I was on the integrations team. So it really does help. The other thing that we also want to do is we want to make sure that we sync changes. So as we make changes to server, we want to make sure that those updates are pushed from those changes directly and mirrored to GitHub. So you still get the latest code. So that being said, you're still going to see all those things. And we're going to return the releases to GitHub as well. So we're going to utilize the native release capabilities of GitHub for tagging releases as part of that. But the big change we're moving is to the mono repo. So there you go.
Cool.
Yeah. This is a post that was referenced to the Life at Octopus podcast, rather. So we're introducing our new episode here. This is the one that I kind of teased about. This is the first episode here with Paul. It's about 45 minutes long. I know it's a bit longer, but I made it a bit more engaging. I added a bunch of GIFs and videos and stuff like that. So if you want, you can just watch it for the comedic value. But Paul went into great detail about how he started Octopus, where he's from, his background, etc., how he manages 350 plus people, kind of like what his thoughts and feelings about, being a scrappy startup into more of a enterprise solution now. So yeah, just check it out. As I mentioned, we've got Harsh coming up next episode. So make sure to check that out. And sticking with LinkedIn, we've also got a new white paper that we just dropped. So this is Achieving Continuous Delivery with TPF. This is from Bob. TPF, this is obviously a combination of things. And then we summarize it here in case you weren't wondering. But TPF stands for Trunk-Based Development, progressive rollouts, and feature toggles. And so if you're interested in doing something like this, where you're doing continuous delivery via TPF, this is a white paper you can certainly check out. And this is definitely something that I think a lot of folks will be interested in. So most teams, the way they approach this today, this white paper, it talks about how, bigger releases are often safer, but the opposite is true. And just they pack a lot more risk into them in one shot. And so this white paper talks about how to spread that across things like trunk-based development, progressive rollouts, and feature toggles. And these are key for shipping not only faster, but also safer. And so by utilizing these features, so trunk-based development is basically keeping everyone committed to small, frequent changes to the main branch. Progressive rollouts deploy these changes gradually and limit the blast radius, if you will, from these deployments. And then feature toggles allow you to separate deployment from release, so you can turn on and off features simply by feature flags. And so by utilizing the combination of these three in this white paper, Bob goes into detail about those looks like. And definitely something worth checking out. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, anything from Bob is going to be a great read. He's got years of experience in the field, in the trenches, doing this stuff, and he's got a really pragmatic way of delivering the message and taking you through why you should consider, this scenario versus that one, or why you should deploy more frequently, and why that's actually less risky than deploying less frequently. So, yeah, if you want to read something this weekend, go and make it the new TPF white paper here from Bob. Nice. It'll be a great read.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have to TPF. It's like It's almost very close to TPS, like TPS reports. So maybe we'll make it an Office Space reference there. This is a new video from you, Matt, entitled "Auditing in Octopus Deploy." What's this all about?
Yeah, so, not the most fun of topics, but it is one that I think we all come across in various facets of our life in the IT industry, and that is, auditing, and this one's specifically about auditing in Octopus Deploy and just how we handle what's going on inside the product, who's doing what, when, what was changed, and by who. Yep. I've been involved myself in enough PO views and RFPs to understand that this is an important part of any product that companies procure. They want to understand how there's a tamper-free log of what's happened in the product. Can I ship that off to somewhere else? So this was really just showing how we approach that in Octopus, and also the features that we've got to stream it out to another logging system as well, because once you get past a certain scale, you want to stop going to individual products to look at their logs. You want that centralized log in a SIEM or whatever tool that you've got. So I just show very quickly how to do that with New Relic here in the video as well. So yeah.
Very nice. Yeah, this is a new feature we added. I think this year was the open telemetry integration, which is super awesome. And then obviously we have our Splunk integration and Sumo Logic, which has been part of Octopus for a while. But auditing for compliance purposes, if you're using this in an industry that you need that compliance, obviously is going to be critical for those folks. So great stuff to see, and another great video by you. So there you go. This is this is a webinar. I'm kind of looking the same here because this was earlier today. This is our 101 series that I've been running for many months. This is basically me kicking the tires and showing you how Octopus works. So if you're all curious to check that out, that's up on our YouTube channel as well. And speaking of webinars, we have other webinars coming up. So next week, we've got Bob and Phil, the two field CTOs. Bob's our field CTO, and Phil's the field CTO of GitHub. So they're going to be doing a webinar entitled Fast and Compliant, Fast and Furious, Fast and Compliant CI/CD pipelines in the financial industry. A lot of interest around this. We're well over 100 registrations already. That's pretty unusual for us. We typically see a spike at the end right beforehand. But this one, I would imagine, we'll probably have a few hundred people on this one. So really looking forward to this one. And then on 26th of August, we've got another one called How We Are Progressively Delivering Changes to Kubernetes Using Canary Deployments and Feature Flags. This is kind of a case study on how we do this at Octopus. And so you can check that out on August 26th. We have other things coming up as well. And we haven't announced those yet, but we're going to be doing another webinar with the new stack. And we're going to be talking about a lot of really cool things. So that's yet another. We're all about teasers today. There you go, another teaser. So, and then just to wrap things up, we've got some events here coming up. Not to forget, we're at Enterprise Tech Leadership Summit. We'll be there in Las Vegas in September. Of course, we're going to GitHub Universe as well. We're already applying for that, as well as KubeCon Atlanta. And then AWS reInvent, the big one. This is December 1st and 5th. Now, you may notice that there's a little gap here between November 10th and December 1st. So that's relevant because somewhere in here is going to be shipped 25. So shipped is our long-standing event that we've been running. You can find the previous versions of this conference, our online virtual conference, over at octopus.com/shipped. And we'll be announcing Ship 25 very, very soon. We're going to be having a call for speakers, etc. So make sure, this is the first time I've talked about this. I haven't launched it yet, but I'll be launching the call for speakers very soon. And so that'll be Ship 25 somewhere in this little space here. So there you go.
Yeah, right in the
Awesome.
middle of conference season, isn't it? So yeah, but that one's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, I'll be excited to see the call for papers and see who we get to come and talk along at Ship 25. That'd be really cool.
Awesome stuff. Okay, and now it is time for support on Friday. Obviously, this is the part of the show where we talk about a particular thread or post that has been posted to our advice channel up on Slack. This is a post that says, is there a way in Octopus Deploy to automatically roll back to the previous successful release if the current deployment fails without rerunning the previous deployment steps, redeploying? I'm looking for a rollback strategy where Octopus can simply switch back to the last known good release without triggering a full redeploy. Is this supported natively, or is there a recommended workaround to achieve this? My answer to this is ish. What I mean by that, short answer, not natively, no, but it depends on what you're deploying. So out of the box, Octopus allows you to do a redeployment to a previous release, but there isn't a switch that says like flip back to the last known good process without running steps. And if you want instant rollback without rerunning the whole process, you have to design the deployment so that the platform can switch state while Octopus just pulls the lever. And so the way that this works, it really depends on what you're targeting. So if you're targeting Kubernetes, for example, where you deploy immutable containers and you're utilizing a platform history, obviously that's where you're utilizing things like kubectl, etc. If you're utilizing Azure web apps, use slots, staging slots for this and swap them out. Same thing if you're using IS/Windows services, use blue-green or version directly and use a stable pointer. Really depends. Like I said, it's a classic sort of it depends answer. If you're on containers, so let's say you're using ECS, Nomad, Docker on VMs, etc., you never really deploy latest per se. You publish via these tags typically. So you publish like an immutable tag. I mean, some people do publish latest. They tag it as latest, but they just keep blowing away what was there previously. But then you record the tag of your environment, and so that when you have a failure in that case, you simply have an on failure step or a runbook that updates the service to point to the last good tag in that. So it really does depend on how your deployment is done. Not natively, out of the box, not natively, that we still have to rerun those steps, but it really does depend on what you're trying to target there. Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, as usual, there's a few different answers, and like you said, it depends. And I think I'll jump into Slack and maybe look to expand this out a little bit, because there's a few things to talk about here. One of them is, why do you necessarily want to do that? And if we're talking about the production environment and doing a rollback at that point in time, the idea that we believe in is that you should have done quite a bit of testing of your released artifact by the time you get to production. So you're probably less worried about doing an automatic rollback in those early environments. And I feel like this is more about, I'm deploying to production, how can I roll that back? But hopefully you've got a lot of confidence before you get to production that you don't really need to consider the rollback itself. With that said, things happen and I get it. And then, the discussion from there can talk into, like you said, John, what is your rollout strategy? Are you doing blue-green? Are you doing canary? What does that look like? And we've talked a little bit before in different facets on Octopus Deploy about whether you actually do want to do a rollback and whether that's a good thing versus trying to fix and sort of roll forward. And there's a good discussion there to be had, especially when it comes to more consistent things like if you've got storage, if you're running a database upgrade script or modifying some storage in your deployment.
What happens to all those what happens to all those transactions that may occur? Are you going to blow those away? Like, how do you roll those back?
Yeah, that's right. So, there's, as usual in our field, there's just a lot of different things to consider. So what starts out as seems to be a pretty straightforward question has a lot of, as you said, it depends tied around it. So yeah, I'll jump into Slack afterwards and see if we can extrapolate this out a little bit. But yeah, there's there's a
The
lot of different
ultimate
ways to
consultant's
achieve.
answer.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Awesome. Well, there you go. Another thread up on advice spawning discussion, which is great. All right, so there you go. That was the news of the week. Matt, thanks again for another awesome video. You have committed to once a week, so we're going to hold you to that. We'll see where it goes from there.
Please
Anyways,
do.
on behalf of us, sorry, on behalf of all of us, all of you, happy deployments, everyone. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.